Hey guys, Wess Brown here and welcome back to the shop. Today we're going over Redline's suggestion on what you should take into the woods when you go bow hunting turkeys. So let's just go right into it. Obviously right here I have my bow. If you guys have watched any of my videos, you guys know that I run the Mach 34 at about 73 pounds. I got a fairly heavy arrow, and this year I will be using the Iron Will Wide Series broadheads. These things are sick. So I'm excited to see what they do to a turkey. Other than that, actually, I'll use my arrow to point things out here. You know, I obviously got a torch, the 2-pin, movable. I have this really honed in at 20 yards. I'm really not going to be shooting any farther than that for turkeys, but if I have to, I have that set up as well. One of the most important things, in my opinion, when bow hunting turkeys, no matter the situation you find yourself running and gunning, using a stakeout blind or just a full-on blind, is having a stand. Now, I have the True Glow stand here. It fits my bow really well, and I'm able to put it on a spot of my bow to where I can actually shoot with this thing on. It's a tad bit louder, but I'm not too worried about that with turkeys. But a stand is essential when you're bow hunting turkeys because we want to minimize as much movement as possible. So with a bow, you know, that's really hard because we're already drawing back and doing a lot of movement that way, but it takes away the spot of either bringing it upright, right? Like, so that bow comes from the side and up to where it's already sitting on the ground. You can have an arrow knocked and ready to go. And whether you're sitting on the ground or in a chair, all you gotta do is lean, you know, grab it, bring it up and start pulling back. So minimal movement, gotta have a bow stand, guys. A lot of companies out there have their own stands, but make sure you find one that you can shoot one with it on. If you can't, not a big deal. You can still grab that, pull it off as quietly as possible, and you should be good to go. Next thing is what I usually have on person. So obviously you see I have a Everly stock bino harness. This fits me really well. I like how close to my body it is. And I have my rangefinder, and then I have an accessory pouch. Well, my accessory pouch, I always keep my mouth calls in, and then I also have my face paint. I don't use a face mask, so I always have a face paint on, get the shine off of my cheeks. I have a flashlight from Trophy Line. This is a great flashlight. It's got a flood, a spotlight, and a red light in it, which is very important to me when I'm coming in and out of the woods, whether I'm deer hunting or turkey hunting. And then I have my crow call right here. Super simple crow call just to see if I got to locate some birds, things of that nature. So I have most of my calls right here, and then my other call, I have a slate call with my striker, and this will go in my backpack or my vest depending on what I'm doing. And then obviously I have my release in my front pouch, and along with all of my licenses, and then of course my binos. I do this because I take this everywhere I go, so if I have all the essentials in here, I obviously don't leave home without this. You know, this is a pretty big piece of gear that I leave a lot of important things in. So whether I'm whitetail hunting or turkey hunting, this goes with me, and I know there's probably a 90% chance I have everything I need to bow hunt. On top of that, hand warmers, because depending on where you're hunting, you got to have some warm hands. I don't like wearing gloves, so that's kind of essential for me. And then I have my multi-tool. I have a thermocell, so obviously it's springtime. Depending on where you're hunting, thermocells are a must. Make sure you have those extra butane canisters and the pads for it as well. And then something we don't talk about at all, carrying on our person at all times, whether it's in your backpack or on your hip, never leave it in the truck, is a first aid kit. Now this first aid kit has a lot in it. It has sucking chest wound pads, it's got quick clot, it has a tourniquet, and a few other accessories in there for emergency purposes. We don't talk about this enough, guys. We need to make sure that we have a first aid kit with us at all times, and at the bare minimum, something to stop bleeding, or have the knowledge to understand how to stop bleeding. So maybe in the future episodes, we'll go into that a little bit further. I have a big background in first aid and self-care and stuff like that. So that's very important to me. I'm a guide. I hunt on my own. I hunt with my family. And I promise you that I do not leave home without a first aid kit. Next up is a good tripod with a fluid head. I'm a cameraman, of course, so something very light for me is essential. This is the Death Grip Sherpa by Bog. And I just slapped on a 4th Arrow fluid head on it, and it cut my weight in half as far as tripods go. So super important there. You'll see up front of here, I have a backpack. That's from Mystery Match. It really carries everything that I take into the woods, even when I'm a little overpacked. And then I have 2 chairs. Now I'll go with family or myself. In my truck, I always have 2 chairs. And you'll see one's the Millennium and one is a Chama chair. Both of them are fantastic. They're silent, they have no armrest, they're really comfortable, and they pack into a very tight, compact area, so it doesn't take up a lot of room. A little on the weighty side, but nothing too bad. Next up, guys, is going to be, let's just go right into the vest. So the vest here, in my opinion, is when I want to run and gun. I might be sitting out in the open, or I might put a little bit of brush in front of me, or I might even have the stakeout blind that I have right here. But when it comes to a vest, my biggest thing is making sure I'm comfortable. And what's really cool about this Nomad vest is right here on the back is it has some release points here where this can come down and you're able to lean back. And you know, as bow hunters, if you've ever hunted from the ground, I like to lean back to get a little bit of leverage behind my bow. It helps me stay a little steadier, a little bit smoother. And of course, you know, a vest like this has a lot of areas to fit all of your stuff, you know, your slate calls, anything extra. It even has a spot for your thermocell. So a really cool accessory to have for turkey hunting. On top of all this, we have our blind right here. So you'll see that that's the double bowl Primos blind. And that's the one where you have 270-degree view through the mesh and they can't see in. And on top of that, it's the clamshell type. That's one of my favorite things to use. If you're gonna use a blind, use a clamshell type blind. It really gives you the ability to keep all the light out and really just give you that little sliver so that you can shoot through there, and it even gives you an opportunity to film on the other side because it's kind of split in the middle. And as long as you practice and you understand what your arrow's doing and what your equipment does inside the blind, holy crap, is a blind like that clamshell, super, super important. It really makes you feel comfortable and a little bit more confident chasing after those turkeys. And then of course, like I said, here in this bag, I have my stakeout blind. Now that's from Primos as well, and it has that same type of see-through mesh, but they can't see in. And it also has 3 windows that you can shoot out of, film out of, or what have you. And that's you know, obviously a blind is something that we're gonna go and set out in a spot that we've been scouting, maybe the day before season or whatever, maybe the morning of. But that stakeout blind really gives the opportunity. It's small, it's light, you can have it on your person for a run and gun scenario. You know, that's a pretty essential tool if you do like to run and gun, or even if you're just a film guy. Obviously right here we have our 3 decoys. I love running 3 decoys. Gives me an opportunity to have enough hens out there if I don't want to run a jake. But it also looks really good if I have a jake kind of following the 2 hens. But you know, I don't really know a lot of strategic ways of placing decoys. I've been successful in the past, so I'm doing something right. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Try to have 3, but you know, if you have to be a bare minimum, just a hen or a hen and a jake. That's kind of my favorite combo right here. And then last but not least, let's get into clothing. Now I won't go through every little detail that I have here, but I primarily run Sitka clothing. Their Equinox is super awesome because it's bite proof or bite resistant from insects. And then their mountain pants that have the knee pads in them. I really like that. But anyway, I have a wide array of black clothing and camo clothing. Black because if I'm in a blind, I like to make sure I'm blacked out in that blind so that, you know, whatever movement that I do make is possibly not seen by the bird or whatever animal I'm chasing. And then obviously I want some little bit of warm weather or cold weather gear, mainly because here in Michigan, you could have a freaking 15-degree morning, depending on the time of year. And even in Kentucky, where I'm heading to this weekend, there's been, you know, last year, if you watched my videos, you could see my breath. It was 32 degrees out there. And so I made sure I had some layers on, you know, so I have even bottom layers, you know, underneath my pants. But if you like to blind hunt, and that's, I love to blind hunt more than anything. I rather sit in a blind, drink my coffee and enjoy the woods. But, you know, if I'm guiding or if I'm, you know, kind of struggling for a bird because they're not coming in and I got a run and gun, I always have a leafy suit top in my bag. And that's something that I would say is kind of a must have, because if you are in a blind and you're wearing mostly black, I don't want to run and gun and sit out in the open with just black on. I want to make sure I'm a little bit camouflaged, so that really, one, it's super light. It doesn't, you know, I can wear a t-shirt on underneath it and it's still going to do its job. So I really like that. But really, I know that was really fast and furious, guys. I wanted to get through all of this. if turkey season's already going in your neck of the woods, you know, I hope you're doing great. And you know, if it hasn't started yet, hopefully this gives you a good idea of what to make sure you have in the turkey woods when you're trying to bow hunt them. I know this seems like a lot of equipment, and it's not something that you have to get everything all at once. I promise you really don't. But there are some certain things you just got to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to run and gun, or do you want to sit in a blind? And that'll really determine what type of equipment, if you need extra equipment or less. For me, I guide, I take my family, and I take myself, so I have to be ready for just about anything. Even as a cameraman, making sure that I have the right equipment when I go to places to kind of accommodate you know, everyone else around me. So, you know, I like to lay out all my stuff for you guys. You see what's out there, you see what we use. But again, don't get overwhelmed. You don't have to have all this equipment. It does get pretty darn pricey. And I tell you guys, this is accumulation of about 10 years of turkey hunting, and you know, buying and selling stuff, and working on the side as a guide to gain a little bit of money so I can buy some stuff I've been wanting for a long time. But yeah, guys, you don't have to do it all at once. Take your time, find what works best for you, and good luck in the turkey woods, guys. And I can't wait to see all you folks sending in your turkey kills, because I am freaking pumped to get out in the woods. But good luck out there, and we'll see you next time.